The Tournament of Strength, the upcoming tournament between all 12 universes brought together by Zeno and future Zeno. And one of these teams on display is going to be the main team that we all know by now, Universe 7, featuring Son Goku as the leader of the team. However, is the team that we've seen in the promotional materials actually the best team that should have been brought together? Well, today, GEEKLIST TV and myself are going to come together to create our own list, which we believe is the team that should have been in Dragon Ball Super. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all upcoming videos in the future. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and today we are going to be discussing and breaking down what we believe the team that should be for Universe 7 in this upcoming tournament of power that Zeno and Zeno are putting together. And so today, myself and MJ from GEEKLIST TV, we're going to be breaking that down from a list of 10 fighters, weakest to strongest, featuring not only characters that are alive just right now, but also characters that have been in the past of Dragon Ball, such as Dragon Ball Z, heroes and villains alike. So MJ, I'm going to throw it over to you to start off first and to give us the first pick on this list that we both came together and decided. We both had our own individual list, and then we put them together to create the best absolute list we can come up with. So MJ, what is the first fighter that should be on Universe 7's team?
What's up, guys? MJ here. Dope ass Mike, so the audio coming in clear. Collabing with my boy, the real homie Mike. We sleep in the AM and record at night.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for having me on the video. And yes, the first fighter going in from weakest to strongest would be Cell. Now, under the impression that the universe are going to be destroyed in this tournament of power, the stakes are really high, Mike. So I would assume if you want to put together the most absolute, most powerful team, you know, the team that could take them to victory, I would assume they would go to the afterlife and bring back some of the fighters, because arguably, bro, Cell's stronger than a lot of the people that they have on that team, obviously, except for the top tiers like Buu, Gohan, Goku, and Vegeta. So bringing Cell back, I think, would make sense. Plus, he has all of the Universe 7 fighters' techniques. You know, he knows the Kamehameha, he knows the Makanko Sanpo, you know, he knows the Spirit Bomb, supposedly the Genki Dama. Obviously, he can get Zenkais if he wanted to. He has Frieza's traits, the Prodigy Frieza, so if they have some time to train, I feel like Cell could be a very dominant character in this team. Even though he would be the weakest, I feel like he's better than the androids and better than like Ten Shinhan, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah, Cell is definitely a pick that I would put on there. Cell is personally my favorite villain in the Dragon Ball franchise, and I would definitely love to see him come back, even if they would have to wish him back with the Dragon Balls, because Cell has a plethora of different techniques he can utilize, and is more powerful, as you said, than a number of the fighters that are on the current team. But speaking of a fighter that has a plethora of different techniques and is very versatile in his own right, with regeneration even greater than Cell's and the ability to not only possess but to learn in an instant the techniques of his opponents, and that is Majin Buu, who is already on the current team, and it's kind of hard to disagree with them putting him on there. Majin Buu is one of the most powerful fighters we have ever seen in the history of Dragon Ball. He happens to have all these techniques such as the Kamehameha, absorbing other characters into his body to take their power and make him even more powerful, and really at the end of the day, if his key attacks is hacks regeneration and other abilities don't really work out, he can always turn you into a piece of candy, and there's not really too much you can do about it unless you're Vegito, and we still don't really know how that works.
Yeah, definitely. When he did not fight in the Champa arc, bro, I think that was a big letdown for a lot of characters. Like like Danny or Frankie 101. I do like Buu as a character, maybe because I'm fat too, so I kind of correlate with him. But anyways, the fact that he did not get to fight was a big letdown, and the fact that they put him on this team totally makes sense. He has an arsenal of abilities and a lot of hacks abilities, if you want to say, a lot of hacks techniques. So the fact that he's on here, it totally makes sense. But moving on, I feel like the next person that should be here, and again, we're going to be going to the Dragon Balls for this character, and that is Ginyu and Tagoma's body. So we saw how strong Tagoma was in the ROF arc. He decimated Piccolo, bro. This is Piccolo who's been training for years, and we know from an interview with Toriyama that he is like Goku and Vegeta, and he trains constantly. He's not like the other fighters. This guy's been training for years, bro, and Tagoma decimated him with ease. Tore his arm off, and then you have Ginyu actually take over Tagoma's body, and now he's able to bring out Tagoma's full power. He wasn't suppressed like before, and he's decimating everybody, again, including Piccolo, and Gohan has to force a Super Saiyan transformation, amping his base by 50 times just to compete with him. This guy is easily high Buu level tier, just from the feats of defeating Piccolo, easily, and taking a Super Saiyan Gohan to defeat him, you know what I mean? This guy's easily Buu Saga tier in my opinion, and I think he would be a big help to the team. And plus, even though he's a bad guy, Beerus and Wiz can keep him in check, you know what I mean? Goku and Vegeta can keep him in check.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gohan was already in his base form, for context, more powerful than Piccolo was when he fought against Tagoma. So that means that Gohan going 50 times that, clearly shows that Tagoma was good amount above Piccolo and even Gohan. So it really lines up with what you're saying of him being a very high Buu level tier and arguably just as strong, if not even stronger, than Ultimate Gohan. But speaking of Piccolo, he's going to be the next one on this list, and the reason why we're placing him above Tagoma is in large part because Piccolo trained with Gohan after Resurrection F, and both of them got considerably stronger. Now, we've done videos before talking about how powerful Piccolo is, especially in the Universe 6 tournament, and Piccolo was able to fight against Frost and actually have him beaten before Frost cheated, when Frost was more powerful in his final form than Base Goku. And as we know, Base Goku and Vegeta are more powerful than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, which means that they are probably more powerful than all the levels of Buu and even Tagoma, which means that Piccolo being able to fight against a character who is arguably more powerful than Goku's base at that point means that Piccolo is likely above all of the forms of Buu at that point as well. And it definitely makes sense considering that both Piccolo and his student at the time, Gohan, got even stronger. However, what do you think about Piccolo being on this list and being the next fighter?
Well, we talked about Piccolo off air, and we've came to the conclusion, now this is just a logical assumption, but me and Mike have came to the conclusion that Piccolo needs to charge his Makako Sapo for a good length of time to actually make it a lethal weapon, you know what I mean? And we saw with how long he was charging it. Now, you can say Piccolo may not be as strong as Goku's base. That's another topic for a whole other day. I've actually covered this on my channel, how strong is Piccolo in Dragon Ball Super. But the fact of the matter is, Mike, Piccolo, after charging the Makako Sapo for a good length of time to challenge Frost, it was able to break through the barrier, and Goku and both Frost and Goku's Ki Blast could not do that earlier. A soft form Frost's Ki Blast and Goku's Ki Blast. So the fact that he could charge up his Makako Sapo and it be a threat to Frost, that's a pretty big deal. So having him on the team, definitely, and plus we don't even know if he's going to be training even more. Like, obviously this guy never stops training, you know what I mean? So him being here, completely fine. I think he deserves to be on this team. But moving on to Piccolo's training partner, and that is Gohan. Now, we know from the recent episodes of Super, Gohan was handpicked by Goku to be in the preliminary rounds or the exhibition match, and Gohan has found his gi, and he's going to be going up against Lavinda, and we know from the opening that he is training with Piccolo again, and he is back in his ultimate form, I assume.
That's what it appears to be from the opening, that he was able to, I guess, once again tap into his full potential in his base form, yes.
And Gohan, bro, we've already talked about how strong Gohan was. I mean, Gohan in his base form in the ROF arc was already above Piccolo, so Gohan in his base arguably above any Cell level character, really. And when you look back at Gohan training again with Piccolo, like, we can assume that maybe he's around Piccolo in his base form, and if Piccolo can do what he did against Frost, I mean, that should tell you how strong Gohan is. Also, look at the recent episode. This may be counted as a filler arc, or as Dempsey calls, transitional episodes. We saw that he was able to fight Goku. They were sparring. Now, you may make the assumption that Goku was suppressed, which is fine, but the fact of the matter is, Goku did say he was impressed with Gohan. So there you go. I think he does deserve a spot on this team.
And even Goku went on to say that Gohan still has a very impressive amount of power that is still stored within him, even as he did as a child, and of course in the Buu saga. And as we know with Gohan, his hidden potential is always growing, just like he had his potential unlocked on Namek, and then he had it unlocked during the Cell saga when he tapped into his Super Saiyan 2, and then again in the Buu saga. The reason why Gohan seems to be getting stronger, despite the fact that it doesn't seem like he's training as hard as Goku and Vegeta, at least, on screen, is because the fact that Gohan's power continuously grows despite him not training. His training seems to be more of an effort to tap into that power and be able to control it. So even though it does seem rather ridiculous that Gohan as a Super Saiyan can even come close to Goku as a Super Saiyan, especially if Goku's base form is Super Saiyan God, the fact of the matter is Gohan has displayed he's incredibly powerful right now, and it only makes sense to put him on this list. However, the next character we're going to be mentioning could arguably be more powerful than Gohan and Piccolo right now, and even if he isn't, he could still potentially be able to defeat them in combat. And that character is Magetta. Now, the reason we bring up Magetta is because Magetta, even though we saw him in Universe 6, should have a counterpart in Universe 7. And MJ, would you like to go in detail about that?
Yes, Mike, you are correct. The Universe 6 Kaioshin did state that the Meta Man race should exist in Universe 7, and the Elder Kai even got upset over the fact that they did not know this. And Magetta, incredibly powerful. You're looking at a guy who was able to go toe-to-toe with Super Saiyan Vegeta, tanked his final flash. Now, again, you can argue, I guess, that maybe Vegeta was suppressed, but the fact of the matter is he was pissed off and he fired a final flash and Magetta tanked it. So, Magetta's a tank, you know what I mean? He's very powerful. Even Vegeta was impressed with his speed when they first started the fight, and Vegeta's base form when they were kind of like testing each other, to see who was more powerful. So, Magetta is no weakling by any means, and the fact that the Universe 6 Kaioshin stated that they should exist in Universe 7, it should tell me that with the universal stakes, bro, with all the universes getting erased if they lose, I feel like Beerus or somebody, I mean, even Kaiosama has a little phone book with all the planets on them. I feel like they should have went looking for his counterpart, because I feel like he could be a great asset to the Universe 7 team, you know what I mean?
And I agree with what you're saying. The fact that they didn't go around the universe searching every single planet and every single race before they came up with their teammates does seem a little bit short-sighted, because especially for the new tournament, this is the fate of not only the living universe, but the afterlife, which is why we include characters who are dead on this list. But speaking of characters who are dead on this list, MJ, how about you break down the next member of this team?
Frieza! Yes, Frieza. We should bring him back. Now, people are probably thinking, why should we bring back the Emperor? Well, Mike, Beerus is there, Whis is there, Goku and Vegeta are there. They can easily keep him in check, especially Beerus. He saw how scared Frieza was when he saw Beerus. So, Beerus can keep him in check, and plus, Golden Frieza was a force to be reckoned with. In the Degree of Danger biographies, which was released in the V-Jump of the January edition, I believe, they specifically state that, whether you believe it or not, I've seen some people deny it, Frieza was stronger than Super Saiyan Blue Goku in the ROF arc. It was the form's downfall that made him lose that fight ultimately. So I feel like if they were to bring back Frieza, he's obviously stronger than the majority of the people on this list. He was easily Super Saiyan Blue Goku tier, if not stronger, in the ROF arc. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, it's Frieza. It would be iconic. It would be awesome, in my opinion. And he would be a great asset to the team. And plus, it would be kind of cool. I know people have said Frieza's a bad guy. He's supposed to remain a bad guy. Yeah, he could be a bad guy. They can go full Hannibal Lecter and have him show up with the muffle on his mouth all locked up in chains, and they just let him fight when he fights. And I think it would be cool. Plus, you saw in the manga, he has telekinesis abilities. He seems to be a very strategic fighter. Even though he didn't have the usage of sensing ki, he was still able to go toe-to-toe with a martial arts master like Goku. So I think it would be completely awesome to have him on the team, and he would be a great asset. What do you think about him?
Yeah, absolutely. The whole reason why Frieza pretty much lost to Goku in Resurrection F is because the fact that Frieza was kind of like Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Sure, he could put out more power than his other previous form before that. However, it would drain so much of his energy, it was more of like an amped up version of his form on Namek. Like, his stamina is incredibly important, and they really hammer that in Resurrection F, how important stamina is with these forms. And they even do that even later on, although it's contradicted at times, where Frieza could have beaten Goku in terms of pure power, but the fight dragged on too long to the point where Goku was inevitably able to overpower and pretty much have him beat before he got hit by the laser. So if Frieza can activate that form, maybe train a little bit, it's really hard with this team because we don't really know how much time or how much training these guys on this team would really get. But if Frieza could at least, beat somebody within the time period allotted to him with that transformation, then he would really be a real force to be reckoned with on this team. And even his base form would be more powerful than most of the characters on this team, his final form before the golden form. So I feel like Frieza definitely is a really great pick and somebody who would really ensure the future of Universe 7. But speaking of the future of Universe 7, and more specifically a different timeline, we should bring up the next fighter on this team, and that is Future Trunks. Now, as we saw in the previous arc, Future Trunks is definitely a fighter who can attain new powers, new transformations, and who can learn incredibly quickly so that this guy can really become a big asset and a really big threat for Universe 7 to really help them to defeat the other members of the team. He's arguably as powerful, if not more powerful, than Vegeta and Goku, but it's a little bit up in the air, so it makes sense to place him here. However, he definitely has demonstrated by defeating Merge Zamasu, by being able to go toe-to-toe with Black and Zamasu, that he is a foe to be reckoned with. He's more powerful likely than Golden Frieza and everyone else on this list, maybe even combined at this point. So Future Trunks definitely would be a real hard hitter, and really someone who might, honestly, it all might come down to him, and he might be able to get the win for Universe 7 in the end. This guy is somebody who knows how to finish the job.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, people might bring up, though, Mike, in the comment section, well, the gods hate time travel. That is true, but with the stakes being so high, and maybe they can even muster in the fact that, hey, this playmate of yours, your best friend, came from the future, so, maybe you could let this one little thing slide, Zeno-sama, you know what I mean? Just has to.
Hey, Zeno, you blew up this guy's entire multiverse. How about you give him a little bit of a break and let him on the team? I think that would help.
Definitely, he would be a big threat, bro. This guy, I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, is stronger than Golden Frieza. Just due to the fact that Goku and Vegeta, by that Future Trunks arc, were already stronger than Golden Frieza, I'm assuming, just because they're constantly training. And then you have Future Trunks come up and actually be on their level. He was going toe-to-toe with Black and Zamasu multiple times. So, what else is there to say? I mean, this guy can learn techniques, he's a half-blooded Saiyan, so he can increase with rage, like Gohan.
Trunks is the half-blood prince, after all, and we know how powerful Snape was.
Yes, Mike, yes, thank you for that Harry Potter reference. But, Trunks would be a great asset. Now, moving on to... This is a little tough, Mike, because... Okay, so our last two are obviously Vegeta and Goku. Now, Mike, in the recent episode... Goku was shown to kind of be a bit rusty. And when he goes and asks Vegeta to go train with him and with some Beerus, Vegeta actually says no, and Vegeta makes the remark, we'll see if you can catch up to me or not. I'm not too sure if that was him being cocky, but I feel like this could go either way. I feel like Vegeta and Goku are probably borderline equals. The only thing that I think Goku has over Vegeta is the Kaioken at this point. What do you think about this?
Yeah, in terms of pure power and being able to multiply your power, I feel like Goku could have Vegeta beaten because the fact that Goku can amp his power at least up to 10 times, maybe even 20 times if he can do the same amount of Kaioken he could on Namek on top of his Super Saiyan Blue. So in that case, I feel like Goku could perhaps surpass Vegeta, but the last time we saw in the Black arc, Vegeta had a more Vegeta had more power overall because he was able to dominate and beat down Black, but then again, at the same time, Goku was able to fire a Kamehameha, which overpowered Murzamatsu's attack, which took the power of Trunks and Vegeta combined to overpower in the first place. So, it's really up in the air, as you say, but I tend to give Goku the edge only due to Kaioken, even if Vegeta is, say, 5 times above Goku at this point, even 8 times above Goku at this point, as maybe the manga implies. Goku with Kaioken times 10 still would have the edge over Vegeta, so that's why I kind of would put Goku at the top. Maybe Vegeta's number 2, however, they really are interchangeable, and the fact of the matter is these two are the biggest hard hitters in Universe 7, and it makes sense to put them at the top of the list, in my opinion.
Definitely, man. They were handpicked by Wisdom Beerus. They are able to control God Ki. Goku has a arsenal of techniques, and Vegeta is probably one of the most durable fighters and characters we've ever seen. He constantly takes ass beatings, but that does not stop him. He's very persistent, you know what I mean?
Vegeta's got his pride, and that pride will will him through pretty much everything. The dude's like Superman sometimes, except a lot cooler and a lot more edgy, I guess. So he's kind of like Batman and Superman, but really short by comparison, I guess.
Definitely. So going back here, we have Cell at number 10, Buu at number 9, Ginyu and Tagoma's body at number 8, Piccolo at 7, Gohan at 6, Magetta at 5, Frieza at 4, Trunks at 3, Vegeta at 2, and Goku at 1. Goku at the tippy top of the mountain just because of the Kaioken, so I'm sure we both agree on that.
Yeah, that honestly makes the most sense to me. And I feel like this list and this team that we put together probably would have a much better chance in the Universe 7 tournament. Now, I know that the people that they put in the tournament, a lot of it has to do with nostalgia. A lot of it has to do with their Goku's friends. They're not going so far out of the box to literally go to the afterlife or to hell or wherever they have to go to bring these people back onto their team. But I feel like, thinking pragmatically, thinking in terms of the absolute most powerful fighters they can get and the absolute strongest team that you can form with bonds that these characters already kind of share, similar-minded characters, and people who have already been in combat so they know each other's skills and abilities, this probably would be the best, at least in our opinions. But let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments section, and of course go over to GEEKLIST TV's channel. He makes a lot of Dragon Ball content and other stuff you're really going to enjoy, power scaling, as he mentioned that he does have some videos over on his channel that you guys are really going to enjoy, which will be down below in the description. And if you like this video, drop a like as it really helps to support this video and this channel, and subscribe if you really like this content so you can see more content like this in the future and exactly right away when it comes out. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come inside the future.